Hi, thanks for joining me today for a basic hip opening seated and standing practice to release tension in the hips and to open pathways and to practice some yoga together. So thanks for being here, and let's go on to our yoga mat and take a comfortable seat. Sukhasana, crossing the legs, or Siddhasana, whichever seems to be the most comfortable for you, either crossing the ankles or turning and having the ankles down onto the floor. And we'll put our hands onto the knees and take a few moments to center together. Breathing deep in towards the layers, all the way from the seat, all the way towards the top of the lungs and even up above, connecting to the heart of source and connecting to the heart of earth, up and down and up. So we'll take 3 Ujjayi breaths together, through the nose if possible, and if not, of course, through the mouth. Let's take a couple of moments just to sit together and start to move the breath. Moving it through the whole body. One more nice deep breath together. Inhaling. Sitting nice and grounded on the sit bones, bringing our palms together in front of the heart, joining our voices in one Om to connect with ourselves, all the layers, and to connect with each other, and to also clean and clear our pathways with the sound of Om. Let's take a nice big inhale. Set an intention for your practice, something that means something very special to you, whether it is to make a body part better, or our minds better, or to just release any sort of tension and feel better for ourselves or for everyone and those around us. Let's exhale, the hands down, and bring your arms up towards the sky. Inhale, palms together, and exhale, take your left hand down, leave your right arm up, and get yourself a nice big side crescent. Take your bicep to your ear and bring it all the way up and over to the second side. Taking the left arm first up, maybe it starts coming over to the side. Stretch through from your hip, through your shoulder, elbow to wrist. And again, bringing it all the way up and over. You might take your left hand out to the side, taking your bicep over the ear, sinking your sit bones down. And again, taking it all the way up and over. A nice big seated crescent pose. Wake up the pathways on the side of the body. And then gently coming back to the center. Take the feet together for Baddha Konasana. You might have blocks underneath your knees. You can have your hands around the ankles and press your feet together and raise your chest and bring your chin towards your sternum and have a nice big long feeling into the neck and clearing from your shoulders up towards the base of the skull. You can pull your shoulder blades down onto the back. You can press your hands, pull up on your ankles, and at the same time press your feet together and press your feet downward. And just starting to open up in towards the seat, in towards the hips, and gently bring it back up towards the center, and take your left leg out and your right foot can come all the way in. Nice. Take your right arm up to the side and bringing it all the way up. Maybe we'll stay right here and have the arm up to the sky and the gaze up. Some of you are going to take your arm over the ear and maybe coming down with your forearm onto the floor. Side crescent, wherever you're at in your side bendings. It can be palm down, it can be forearm down, it can be on a block. And then gently taking it all the way up, hands behind, and switch to the second side. Taking your left leg in and your right leg out. Find both sit bones onto the mat and take your right hand down and sweep your left arm all the way up for a nice big crescent to the side. You can take your bicep over your ear, sit bones down on the floor, toning with your lower belly in towards the front of the spine, keeping the lower back nice and stable. Palm can be down, hand can be further out, and the forearm can come towards the floor. Or you can grab a block or a book or a pillow or something that will support you. We'll take a few more breaths here to open the pathways into the left side of the waist. And exhale, take it all the way back up to center. And switch one more time. Take your right leg in and your left leg out. And then we go into, so we have the legs open wide as feet together, Baddha Konasana. We have this nice rotation onto the hips with our legs out at an angle, and then bring your right leg in and take your left leg out to the side, and we're going to fold over the extended left leg and have a nice twist and turn in towards the belly and in towards the organs. And take your hands forward. You can take your hands on your mat, you can use a strap. I'm just trying to keep it super simple and not bring in too many props into the practice today. Hands could come around the foot or around your leg, anywhere it feels good. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, elbows out to the side. The gaze can come forward towards your second toe, or you can simply rest your eyes and just close them as we're coming into a different angle on towards that right lower back area. We'll take one more breath here. And gently bring it all the way up and come back to center and switch sides. Take your left leg in and your right leg out to the side. So half leg is in bound angle and the right leg is in a wide angle. Turn your torso over your right leg and sit bones down. Take your hands and straddle your right leg. Spread your toes, heel down. Inhale, long spine, and either take your hands around your leg or find a scarf or a belt or something and find your foot, elbows out to the side. Hook your right heel down and click your left toes down and stay anchored with skin to muscle and muscle to bone. Exhale, hinge and fold, and take it to your level of a comfortable elongation on the left side of the spine. Lower back, lumbar, and gently release and take it all the way back up and cross at your ankles and take downward facing dog. I'll take it towards my plants that I call Shiva and Shakti. Spread your fingers and come into your down dog. Pedal your feet down, heels down. Come to your hands and your knees and your toes. Arch your spine up towards the sky, top of the head towards the floor. Elongate the whole back body and hollow the upper arm bones. And exhale, tone the lower belly, middle belly, bring it all the way in. And exhale, hollow it all the way back out. And one more. Big full cat pose on the back. And then one nice big hollow back or cow. And come back to neutral spine. Take your hands around the yoga mats. scrunch the yoga mat up and put your feet on each side of the mat. Come into tiger dog with your, or simply a down dog with bent knees. And bring your thighs and your torso towards each other, the ribs towards the thighs. Stretch your arms, move a little side to side, and then gently sink your heels towards the floor. They might come down, they might stay up, so whichever works. Take your feet back into normal downward facing dog. Release your hands into your downward facing dog. Press the palms, lift the upper arm bones. And then we're going to come back down onto our knees and hands again. This time come down onto your left forearm, come up onto your right fingers, and lift your right leg, bent leg to the back. And then we're going to just rotate and make some nice big hip circles. Getting in towards the hips, to the hip flexors, to the lower back. And then we'll switch the lap around to the other direction. Moving the hips, turning any adhesions, turning them around and sending them out on their way to a different place. And then we'll switch to the second side. Take your right forearm down, come up onto your left fingers, and then lift your left leg up 90 degrees, spread your toes up there, and then we'll make like a quarter circle around for about 5 times or so. Toning into the belly to stay nice and anchored in towards the hips, and switch second side around. Moving energies through the hips. And one more lap, and then we'll come back down to center and downward facing dog, please. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Roll over to plank pose. Claw the fingers, shoulders and wrists are stacked. Sink your hips. Hold your plank for 3 breaths. You can always put your knees down. We can hang out here and push into the 4 corners of the feet. Push into the 4 corners of the hands. And then from here, take your knees to the floor. Come all the way down to the floor. Widen your hands. Come up onto the fingertips. Inhale into cobra. Inner shoulder to outer shoulder. Give yourself a few breaths right here. And exhale, release. Take it back down. Hands by the shoulders. Push back, child's pose. Big toes together, knees apart. Active child's pose with your arms stretching forward, with your palms down and your arm bones away from the floor. Forehead to floor. And gently make your way back up to downward facing dog. Take a walk over towards the hands. Inhale, long spine. And exhale, fold. Hands to hips, elbows to sky, and come all the way up to standing. Release your hands to the side. And from here, we're going to bring the feet hip width apart, bend the knees, and take the right ankle over the left knee. Take your hands to your hips, and maybe we'll stay right here. So bend your standing knee so that your ankle and your hip is above and below each other. From here, you can take your hand to your ankle and your knee. From here, you can take your hands to blocks or to the floor. You can move about into your right hip. You might take your whole hand to the floor. Push your hands down. Arch your spine. Turn and churn in towards that right outer hip. And gently hands to the ankle and the knee, hands to the hips, and then come back up to standing and bring your knee into the chest and send your foot back down. Yeah, let's do the second side. Bend your knees, feet can be hip width apart to start. So I like to bend the knees, and that way it feels more stable for the supporting leg. Take your left ankle over your right knee, hands to the hips, hinge, anterior tilting of the hips forward, sacrum to the back, ankle and hip is stacked above and below each other on the right side. You can take your hands to your knee, to your ankle. You might stay here, you might lower your hands to blocks or to the floor. See what works for you and move it a little bit back and forth. Maybe take the whole palm down onto the floor. Arching your spine up, using your abdominals to stay here, using your hands to stay here. Moving energies around in your left hip. Untying knots, releasing any tension. And then gently come back up on your fingertips, hands to knee and ankle, to hips, come to standing, bring your knee into the chest and then send it all the way back down. Nice. Come to the front of the mat and take your hands forward and up. Inhale and then exhale, hinge and fold hands to the floor. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, step 1 foot back. It doesn't matter which one, maybe turn so that we can see each other. And then come with your toes to a feet wide apart pose, Prasarta Padottanasana, with your toes slightly in and your heels slightly up. Bend into the knees and take your arms to the front. Lift your upper arm bones. Bend into the knees. Stretch from your hips to your shoulders to your wrists. And from here, take your hands underneath your shoulders. Take your right hand in the center. Take your left hand to your sacrum and twist your torso. See if you can keep your hips kind of nice and even here. And use the muscles and the tissues around your torso for your twist. Lift your left arm up to the sky. If it feels congested, come up on a block or come up onto the fingertips. And then exhale, release. Hands, switch place. Take your left hand down. Take your right hand to your hip, to your sacrum. Bend into your knees. Lift your sternum. See if you can have your hips nice and even. Sweep perhaps your right arm up to the sky. Bringing it all the way up. Nice. And exhale, take it all the way back down. Excellent. We'll give ourselves a couple of cat-cows here too. Bend your knees, arch your spine. Concave, convex the spine. Untie any knots in the spine, in the hips, in the hamstrings, in the shoulders. Come back to neutral and then we'll come over towards the right side. Flip your left toes up and the heel down. Turn over towards the right side and your hands can stay flat on the floor for a low supported lunge with your right foot and your ankle and your knee stacked towards the front. Give yourself a few breaths right here. And then from here, take your right elbow in towards your right knee again. Flip your left toes up and then come up and over to your second side. Flip your right toes up and your right heel down. And then gently make your way over towards your left side. Hands supporting you. Push energy into the back leg. Press your foot down nice and strong. Tone your lower belly. And exhale, come back into your Skandasana, into your side angle stretch for your adductors and hip opening, and then come back to your center and hands underneath your shoulders. From here, take your peace fingers around your big toes. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, elbows out to the side. Top of the head towards the floor or a block. Bring your shoulders up and away. Elongate your spine. Press all four corners of your feet down. Breathe into any of the tight areas. And gently extend your arms and come into hands supporting you underneath your shoulders, and step into your downward facing dog. Step it back, down dog. Come forward, roll your vertebrae, your spine, come into plank pose please. Shoulders and wrists are stacked. Give yourself a few breaths right here. Push into all four corners of the feet away from you. All four corners of the hands, claw your fingertips. And take your knees to the floor. Come all the way down. Widen your hands. Inhale into cobra. Inner shoulder to outer shoulder. And exhale, bring it all the way back down. Hands by the shoulders. Child's pose. Big toes together, knees apart. And gently come all the way up to all fours. Tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Spread your fingers. Take your feet all the way together. Sweep your right leg up towards the sky. Horizon first, so the toes and the heel is aligned. And then maybe we'll take the leg a little higher up as we pull up the ribs in. Open your knee and your hip and sink your right heel towards your right buttocks. And get a nice big one-legged dog with bent knees. Step your right foot between the hands and take your hands to your right quad. Arch the spine to the sky, and from here release the hands, and against that hugging in feeling, sweep the arms forward and up for a high crescent lunge. Just a nice big straight line from the hips to the shoulders, bending the front knee nice and deep. And then from here, take the hands to your hips and step your left foot flat onto the floor for warrior one. This time take the arms forward, pull the upper arm bones in, palms together, and take your arms up towards the sky. Now hands can certainly be apart, but they can also be together if it works for you. From here, open up into warrior two, sweeping the arms out to the side. Squaring your front knee over your front ankle. Take your hands behind you, interlace. Roll the shoulders up and back, hinge and fold forward. Top of the head towards the floor. Hands can stay on the sacrum or they can come up towards the sky. Make some space from your shoulders to your ears for your neck. And exhale from here, hands to the shoulder, hands to the sacrum, and then hands down to the floor, and turn over towards your right leg again. Come up onto your left toes, hands to the floor, arch your spine to the sky, and then we're going to bend the arms, elbows, and take the right arm underneath your right leg for like airplane arms. Maybe you have one hand down to support yourself. Maybe both arms comes up. Maybe you find your hands behind and find your right wrist with your left hand and check on your balance, blasting the energies from the outside, all that belongs into your center, and feeling nicely connected to all layers and getting a pretty fun hip opening in as well. And then exhale, release, hands down to the floor, step it back, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Roll over to plank pose. Stack your shoulders and your wrists. And then from here, come down to the knees. Come all the way down to the floor. Widen your hands. Inhale into cobra, inner shoulder to outer shoulder. And pull the ears back. And exhale, bring it all the way to the floor. Down dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Bring your feet together. Take your left leg up. From your core, extend your leg up to the horizon. And maybe push into your hands and knit your ribs together even more. And bring your leg up towards the sky. Bend your knee up here. And come into a one-legged dog with bent knee. A little rotation in the hips, a little hip opening. And then from here, step your foot between the hands. Give yourself a pause. Arch your spine to the sky. Connect more in towards the legs, in towards the feet, into the heart of earth. Bring your hands to your left quad. Stay nice and deep and come up high onto your back toes. Release the hands. Inhale. Take it forward and up. Palms can be apart, bicep towards ears. Just a nice big elongation from your hips to your shoulders. One more breath, and then exhale, hands to the hips. From here, take your right foot flat on the floor for a warrior one. Take your arms forward and pull the upper arm bones in, palms together, lift it up into a Virabhadrasana one. Warrior one pose. Palms can of course be apart or palms can be together. Anchor your legs, your feet, your hips, and breathe through all layers. Open up into warrior two. Take the arms out to the side. Knee over ankle, gaze over the second finger. From here, take your hands behind, interlace, roll the shoulders up and back for a humble warrior with the top of the head towards the floor, and your hands might stay on your sacrum or they might go all the way up towards the sky. Shoulders and ears separating. Give yourself a few breaths right here. Breathing into the hamstrings, toning in towards the right adductors, the right inside of the leg, and then hands to the sacrum, hands to the floor, inside your left foot, flip your right toes down and the heel up towards the sky. Bend your elbows, take your left arm underneath your left thigh, your left hamstrings, maybe stay right here, maybe one arm out, maybe both arms out, maybe you go and find your left wrist with your right hand, and hang out right here, coming into like a really low lizard and finding all the layers that keep us glued together and kind of just blasting it with energy of holding from the skin to muscle, muscle to bone. We'll take one more breath and exhale, hands to the floor, step it back, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, and roll over to plank pose, vertebrae by vertebrae. Lift your floating ribs up, plug the midline in, extend out from all the new energy that we have in the hips, out the legs, out to the feet, and get some clear pathways of staying grounded. And bring your knees to the floor, come all the way down, widen your hands, elbows to the sky. Inhale to cobra, inner shoulder to outer shoulder, and exhale, bring it all the way down to the floor, hands by the shoulders, come to all fours, come to down dog please, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Bring your feet back together for right leg up towards the sky. We'll bend the right knee one more time and press down through the left heel and take your right leg underneath you for pigeon pose. You might let me walk your hands a little bit more forward so that your right knee can come out to the right side, your foot to the left side. You can tuck the toes under in the back, kind of check so that your right, that's your left quad is facing down and the hamstrings are facing up and the hips are facing forward, and it feels pretty good in the hips. Plug anything underneath your right hip that you might need. Come down to your forearms and stay here. Maybe you have a block for your forearms or for your head. Maybe you take your arms out in front and go into your place for pigeon pose. We'll take one more breath here. And gently bring the hands down and come up to your seat. Lift your right hip off and come onto your left knee. Double up your mat if you need to. If not, we'll just come up and levitate a pigeon slightly. Take the arms all the way forward and up. Palms can be together or apart, whichever works for you. And we might stay right here and have a good time into a quad stretch. Maybe the right hand comes to your thigh and your left hand comes back, kind of like you're hitchhiking with your thumb. hand to the inside of the foot. You can push your hand and your foot into each other. This takes a lot of holding skin to muscle, muscle to bone in towards the midline, and it'll send you straight into your intention, and it'll just kind of find where it needs to go, because there's a lot of energy here that we have to hold on to. And you might push your hand and your foot against each other, and maybe that's a good place to be. Maybe you take your hand and your foot in towards your thigh, in towards your hip for more quad stretch. Press your right little toes down and your whole right ankle down for more grounding. You can take your right arm up towards the sky and exhale, release hands to the floor, and then we'll step it back to downward facing dog. Breathe. Anchor from your hands, through your arms, through the shoulders, through the hips, all the way down the legs, in towards the heels, and all four corners of our feet. Bring your feet together, please. Second side, take your left leg up to the sky, bend your knee, one-legged dog, sink your right heel down towards the floor, spread your toes on your left leg, and take your left leg underneath you for pigeon. And walk your right foot back. And I like to kind of always take a little peek and check and see so that my quad is down, even though sometimes it feels like it, but it's not. And sometimes it is, but it might not feel like it. Depends on what activity's been going on in the leg. Take your left knee out to the left side of the mat and your left foot over towards the right side of the mat. And then from here, come and fold forward, come into a prone pigeon. You might have something underneath your hip for support. You might lay on your back and pull your knee in towards the chest. Support yourself in a nice way to come into your forward fold pigeon. We'll take 3 nice deep breaths here. One more breath. And then support your hands to the side of your shoulders. Come upright and lift your left hip off by plugging the right knee and the right toes down. And lift your arms maybe up towards the sky. So there's a lot of hugging into the midline and a lot of staying centered and a lot of just kind of being right here and right now. Take your left hand to your quad and your right hand can come back, and take your thumb facing up and your palm towards your foot. Press your hand and your foot against each other and get a nice feeling in that right quad. And also it's an excellent way of opening the shoulders. Press your hand and your foot into each other. Maybe take your foot in towards your right quad. Maybe take your left arm up towards the sky and have a good time right here. We'll take one more breath and exhale, release. Take it all the way back. Hands by the shoulders or the knees and step back to down dog. Step one foot between the hands and face me. Come over to feet wide apart. And then we'll come down into our Skandasana again. Side to side, right knee, right elbow, left knee, left elbow, and come over to the right side again. Heel down, toes up, and then we're going to sink down the left seat all the way down. The right sit bone will be off of the floor. Take your right arm up and take it forward, and then we're going to wrap the right leg and find our hands behind. And just kind of hang out right here and get a nice twist. Maybe you relax your head and fold forward. Maybe you raise your head, depending on if you maybe need to get in towards the lumbar, maybe you need to get in towards the shoulders. Just have a good time for another breath right here, wherever we're at. And then from here, we're gonna take one more version. Take the left hand around your right shin. Take your right arm up towards the sky And then we'll take that twisty shoulder opening, turny into a sideways angle in our mariegreenyoga variant. Take your right arm over your ear. Maybe go find your foot. Maybe you have a scarf. Maybe you have your hand on your hip, behind your head. Try anything that works for you. And give yourself a smile. And the body knows everything's okay. And it feels pretty good. And it's like, wow, it's a good place to be right here. Hand and foot pressing into each other. And then gently take it all the way back up. And support your hands to the front. Come up and over to your second side. Left elbow in towards your left knee. Flip your right heel down, toes up, and come down onto your right sit bone. And from here, take your left arm up. So your right sit bone is down and your left sit bone is off. Come forward, turn your palm up to the sky, and then bring your hand behind. And maybe go find your shirt or your hands or your fingers or your wrists and enjoy your way of sitting right here. Maybe relaxing, folding forward. Maybe you're raising your chest. Maybe you're just sitting and enjoying just being here. We'll take one more breath right here. And then take your right arm up. And find your right arm around your left shin, ankle, and take your left arm up to the sky and give yourself a nice hinge over to the side. And again, your hand might be on the hip and be behind the head. That's a nice support. You can take your arm over your ear, you can go find your foot, or not. Maybe not today, maybe a different day, maybe today. Maybe you put your head on your leg, who knows? Give yourself another smile right here. The body knows that everything's okay. And then slowly release and take it all the way back up. Nice. Stretch your legs all the way forward. And from here, hook your heels down. You can bend your knees and hook your heels down, toes up, and we're going to roll down vertebrae by vertebrae, all the way down. And coming all the way onto our back, bring the knees into the chest, hug the knees all the way in. Make circles onto the sacrum. And other direction. From here, put your feet flat on the floor. And there was a lot of different side angles to get into the different layers of the hips. So now we'll take a few moments to kind of plug everything back into its new place in the nice sagittal plane by vacuum sucking the lower belly in towards the mat and using the lower abdomens and letting the hip flexors have a little pause. Pressing the feet down, the hands can be flat on the floor, and we can stay right here. If you wanted to take it to a different variant, we'll keep that lower back onto the floor, and we'll take the hands into our knees that have reached tabletop and press the hands and the knees into each other and enjoy that. Give yourself a few breaths right here, or maybe like a count to 5, maybe a count to 10. And then you can roll your shoulder blades off and plug it in even a little bit more. Shoulder blades is off of the floor, hands and knees are pressing into each other, and there's some heat going on right now through all layers. It's a great way to just blast all the layers of the body. We've opened a lot of pathways. It's nice to just kind of flush them with a little isometric hold. And then exhale, bring it all the way back down. Bring the knees into the chest. Take your hands underneath your knees and roll up to a comfortable seat. Stretch your legs all the way forward. And we'll close with Janu Shirshasana, head to knee pose. Take your right foot into the left inner thigh. So your right knee is just 90 degrees out to the side. Take your arms up to the sky. Bring your ribs in, hinge and fold forward. And elongate the spine. And then exhale, fold. Elbows out to the side. Forehead to knee, or forehead to a block, or forehead up here, as long as it feels really good for the spine. And gently take it all the way back up. And switch to the second side. Bring your right knee in, extend it out. Take your left foot in and take your foot on the inside of the right thigh. Arms up to the sky. Bring your ribs in, send the energy down into the seat, and exhale, hinge and fold. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, fold. Elbows out to the side. Top of the head could be upright. We don't have to fold forward. We can do a slight tilt, wherever it is for you, in your hips and in your lower back and hamstrings. Maybe the head comes towards the knee. Elbows out to the sides, shoulders down away from the ears. And gently come all the way back up from there. And take your legs forward, take your inner thighs wide back and apart. I like to just kind of move the muscles, the flesh out, so that I'm sitting flat on my hamstrings. It feels really good for the seat and for the sit bones. Arms up to the sky, spread your toes, bring your ribs in, hinge and fold, Paschimottanasana. Hands around the ankles or around the feet or around right underneath the knees. Wherever you need to go to find a nice elongation in towards your hamstrings and that lower back. Inhale, long spine. Maybe you'll bend your elbows, pull your shoulders away from the ears. Maybe you fold forward. Making sure that you are in a good spot that works for your muscles and ligaments and tendons and bones. And then gently from here, make it all the way back up. Crossing our legs, coming back to our cross-legged seat from the beginning where we started our class today, and bringing the hands onto the knees and just taking a few moments to sit together. You can close your eyes, sitting nice and tall on the sit bones. Should be a nice feeling going through the whole body, and the hips are releasing probably for a bit longer than just sitting here when you stand up after your class. So we'll just take a moment to make sure that everything has a time to plug into its new layers that we created for a new updated version of ourselves to move from and be from. Just sitting nice and tall on the sit bones, erected spine. Sitting until we feel like all the layers have found a great place to reside in and to move from. Sitting while we're getting updated with some new ways of being. And then gently open the eyes. Release the hands. Take 3 nice deep breaths. Inhale, arms out, palms together. Exhale, straight down through the center line. And inhale, sweeping the arms out and around. I like to think of it as also sweeping through our energy layers that is surrounding our physical body, and it's nice to just kind of give it a little fairy dust. Palms together. And exhale. We do one more time. So this time we inhale up and take an Om, our final Om, as the palms come down. Take a nice big inhale. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you feel as relaxed and renewed as I do in my hips right now, and shoulders too. And I highly encourage you to take a Shavasana with me. So let's lay down on our backs and let everything update from a flat, relaxed way of being. Shavasana. Letting the palms open up. Adjusting so that you're feeling nice and supported on your back. You might put a blanket on, letting the toes relax, ankles relax, knees, hips, the muscles of the legs. Letting the hips relax, hips be heavy, supported by the floor, by the ground, by the earth. Organs have a new space and way of moving and being, processing, digesting. Heart and lungs are elevated. Shoulder blades are supporting us. There's a nice smile from shoulder to shoulder that goes out the arms. Palms are facing up, fingers are curled and relaxed. There's a nice pulse in the palms and in the feet of new pathways open, nerve endings being stimulated. Throat is free and clear. Third eye is cleaning and clearing. Top of the head is receiving new information into our intention from the beginning of class. Thank you for joining me, and namaste. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great Shavasana.